Hello and welcome to part 2 of my faction overhauls. Today I'm going to be focusing on the Civil War and improving both sides. The same stipulations apply as before. It's not about retextures, simply improving the experience of playing those factions or events. I'm going to start in the same place as I will every time, perks from questing. When it comes to the Civil War, we get passive abilities depending on the side we choose. For the Imperials, there's Legate, which gives you a permanent bonus of 20 carry weight, stamina and magic, as well as all nearby allies having their armor rating bumped by 30 points. And if you're a Stormcloak, you'll receive Stormblade, which is a way cooler name. Stormblade gives a permanent 25 bonus to health and carry weight, with local allies able to move their weapons 5% faster. Both of these are excellent options and make an actual difference in what side you take. In case you missed the last episode, this mod does similar for every faction and costs a mere 56.3 kilobytes, which makes it a great reinforcement for any load order. Pardon the pun. Up next we have a pretty fun mod that changes actions taken aside from the usual conquering the opposing factions during the war. Epic Crabs Lawbringer. This mod makes it so that when you've cleared a camp, tower or fort, you can claim it in the name of your chosen side or a hold you're currently in. For example, after clearing Silent Moon's camp, you can choose to have it occupied by Stormcloaks, Imperials or the Whiterun Guard. You do this by simply interacting with the flag in the area. The option pops up and it's pretty self-explanatory from there. Whilst not strictly about the Civil War, it definitely makes you feel more a part of the faction, and it achieves this all for a pretty fair 6 megabytes. I probably wouldn't use this in a very heavy load order, but it's easily one of my favourite choices for a Civil War playthrough. In a similar vein to this, I suggest using Civil War Aftermath. This mod allows you to storm and destroy the opposing faction's camps after the war. The generals used to be set as essentials, meaning that you could wipe half of the camp out, but never truly end it. This made me feel like the war was never truly over. Aftermath seeks to change this. It allows you to not only end everyone in the camp, but also destroy the camp altogether, burning it off the face of the map. And what's more, your faction leaders will send you money via courier for every camp destroyed, and this only sets you back 2.4 megabytes. A lighter alternative to this is Killable Generals, but this is a far more complete mod. Beyond these, I'm using Civil War checkpoints. This mod literally adds checkpoints to the edges of all the holds. They're manned by whichever faction currently runs that hold. The open areas feel very sparse considering there's a war taking place. And this mod does a really good job of filling out the war and feeling quite strategic as it does it. I'm fond of this mod over say the likes of Immersive Patrols because it doesn't seem to drop the performance in any areas, remembering that anything new, people, items or even higher poly count can cause lagging, especially in heavy orders. And whilst I am a fan of Immersive Patrols, sometimes in the battle areas I drop to roughly 20 frames. If you can deal with that, throw it in. If not, I suggest this mod instead. I also find the checkpoint mod to increase my personal immersion as factions aren't randomly roaming and battling in the middle of holds. This makes you feel more like your actions drive the war forward beyond the point of posturing and skirmishes. Civil War checkpoints will set you back 585.6 kilobytes, but it's worthwhile in any war playthrough. I'm also using a mod largely for the Stormcloaks. I always play as the Imperials because I felt the Stormcloaks were really not a faction I wanted to get behind. Growing up, rebels in films were the good guys, but the Stormcloaks don't feel like they follow that ethos. Whilst sure they are fighting to end religious persecution, which I can of course support, but they're pretty horrific in their attempts, so I suggest using Stormcloaks for the good guys, less racist. This mod allows you to end the racist ideologies of the Stormcloaks through new scripted brawls. When something you don't like the sound of is said, you can fight to end that racism. This mod also adds in more race variants to both factions, something that was ridiculously missing when you consider the 10 vanilla races in Skyrim. I found the Civil War to be a field rich in potential, with so many more mods I could, would and should use, so I'm going to throw out some suggestions to fill out your order. Firstly, of course, is Immersive Patrols. It's not a main pick, like most of my suggestions, because of the lag potential. I also like Civil War Overhaul, which adds in brand new battles, making the war feel much larger. There will be a fight for every hold capital, which also increases the length of the war quite dramatically. This mod could just be hard to settle in your order, but if your entire play is going to be based around the war, then this is one you really can't overlook. Another mod I suggest is Civil War Refugees, which shows off the true consequences of war, leaving people in squalor after finding their homes or farms in the middle of a battleground. And in this same vein, Civil War battlefields show the aftermath of what happened in the fights, with corpses of battle and other scenes left behind in the wake of war. Another mod which is likely to cause some lag, but again in any large war load order, it's a must. And finally, for the sadists who love the large battles, I suggest using Populated Civil War. This will make every battle you take part in more epic and large, but remember, this is definitely going to cause some frame drops if you're using a big order. And on this I'm going to call it. I think Civil War load orders are really good fun. It's one of the best stories in the game and little tweaks can bring out the most in it. If you have any other suggestions though, I would love to hear them. And as always, if this has helped, I'd really appreciate those likes, comments, and of course subscriptions. But either way, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.